Hi, welcome back to another video from a channel that takes over a year to upload. I know I always say at the end of each of my videos, or at some point in my videos, that this time I'm gonna try to upload consistently, and then a year or two passes and I don't. But I think this video was an eye-opener for me, so maybe I will actually stick with what I say, because I have tried to film this video 2 other times and I didn't like how it turned out, so I tried it a 3rd time, and you know what they say, 3 times a charm. And with that, it made me realize that if I don't like how the drawings turned out, I can just redo it, especially with this style of formatting that I'm doing, where I draw on an individual piece of paper, because the original sketch is in my sketchbook and I just used a light box to trace it onto a piece of paper, which gives me the opportunity to redo the drawing so many times. And with that, I can make more videos. So if I mess up really badly, or mess up in a way that I feel like is not worthy to post on the internet, I can just start over. And I do say this at the end of the video, I get more experience. Which, by the way, I do say at the end of the video, I don't plan to analyze all of my drawings. I should have said I'm not going to analyze all of my drawings in that format, where I take the drawing and I talk about it at the end of the video. I plan to do voiceovers and talk about it during the speed paint, because that's the type of content that I liked. But since I did have another drawing to compare it to, I decided to do it in that format. So if I do have more than one drawing to compare it to, I will do it that way, but for the most part it is going to be done over through a voiceover. Also, see how I'm coloring her hair red? I would notice at this point that she looked a lot like Ariel, and I do say this at the end of the video. I was just following basic color theory, which is how she ended up looking a lot like Ariel, and the purple was a nice warm color because I wanted to shade with warm tones. And she just kind of looks like Ariel, not the intention. But you know what? If someone wants to color Ariel, I'm not going to get mad, because I too see how she looks like Ariel. If anything, she looks like a punk Ariel. Also, can I just say, trying to find background music sucks because of the copyright. So, like, I have dabbled in royalty-free music, but it's so hard to find one that like fits the perfect, like, the tone of your video, and it's so hard for me. So I decided that I'm going to just use sounds, and by sounds I mean the sounding of thunderstorms and rain, because I think that's really relaxing. It brings me back to a point in my childhood that I might talk about later. And how are they to know that I took it for them? Because rain is kind of a universal sound, so how are they going to copyright me? They can't tell. I could have literally just gone outside and gotten the audio. You will never know. I might be using different sources for my rain. Again, you will never know, and I just think it's so much better than having to deal with finding music that goes perfectly in the background. Now I'm going to critically analyze these drawings. I don't expect to do this a lot, but since I have something to compare it to, I'm going to do it now, because the whole thing about my art journey is me just documenting my process and sharing it with other people. So I do have 2 versions of this. I do not have the original first one. I ended up crumbling that one up because I was very frustrated. A little sad, but I also didn't get far with it. It's just line art, whereas these are mostly fully colored. This was the first one that I fully colored, and obviously this is the one I just did, as you can see, with like the whole signature and all that stuff. So something that I immediately noticed that I thought was really cool is that my tracing time increased a lot. The first one, it took like an hour for me to trace. The second one, it took nearly 30 minutes, and then this one took 9 minutes, which I thought was really interesting. The main reason that I redid it was because I did this on the back of my paper. I should have done it on this side, and ended up doing it on this side, and I thought that's what was messing with me with the feathering, because the feathering was really bad, which is why I gave up on this drawing. I still unfortunately struggled with feathering on this one too, but it was not as bad. So I definitely need to pay attention to which side I need to be drawing on. I also find it funny that she looks a lot like Ariel. That was completely unintentional. I just wanted to keep him with like a red tone type character, and I know that green is complementary to red, so I gave her red bottoms and I gave her a purple top because I had a color that could shade that was warm. And then I realized when I was coloring in her hair that she looked a lot like Ariel, and she looks like a punk Ariel if you think about it. Completely unintentional, but I guess you could just say this is Ariel fan art. I think I kind of like the shading on this one slightly better. I think I was a little bit I was rushing it a little bit, so I think something I could do would be to slow down just a bit more, because I like the shading in this Ariel. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that makes sense compared to this one, because I think this one just kind of went off a little too much. I also still need to figure out the light source. Also, the error that I had right here is really unfortunate. I like the blending effect, but that's not what I was going for. I also absolutely hate the tattoo. I had no idea what I was going for it, and I honestly probably should have just left it as is, but I felt like I needed to add a color. But those were completely random and not really thought through, and it just looks super muddy. And I don't like that at all, so that's something I need to change. I really like her legs though. Overall with my drawing, that's my favorite thing about that is the little ankle bumps that I gave her, because I thought those were really cool. I haven't done that before, so that was something new. I also added shadows. I don't normally add shadows to my drawings. I also completely forgot that I was going to add the shadow, which is why I added the white pen down here, which I know does not mix well with alcohol markers. I'm still trying to get used to alcohol markers. I'm thinking I'm just going to have to purchase some alcohol paper, because I cut these pieces of paper out of a sketchbook that I got from my AP art class that I ended up never using, and I didn't want to waste it, and I like the whole idea of having like a single individual sheet. But I think if I want to get better with marker drawings, I'm going to get marker paper so that I can handle it. I'm probably going to get specifically the Ohuhu ones, because although I have Copics, I have a lot more color variety with my Ohuhu markers, and I just want to use those more than my Copics. Eventually I'll migrate back to my Copics and then start using them both, because there are colors in my Copics that I don't have in my Ohuhus and vice versa. But I think overall this was a really fun thing, and I'm glad that I stuck through with it, because this has technically been months into the making. Maybe I will revisit this. I might revisit this someday with new skills once I've improved a lot. Let's see what I've been changed and what I've improved on. I don't hate the drawing. It's not up to the standards that I was hoping for, but I did end up learning a lot. So I think in the sense of that, I think this is a very successful piece, and I appreciate having been able to document it. I ended up deleting this one, which I feel like I shouldn't have, but at the same time, I mean, what would be much of the difference? I hope you enjoyed. I'm going to try to make more videos like this. I don't want to analyze all my drawings, but I just wanted to analyze these two, since I did have two variations of the same piece. So hopefully I will be able to do more drawings. This was really, really fun, and yeah.